Welcome back to English Experts. I'm Daniel, and today's episode is a little different because this is our Halloween special. Halloween is one of my favorite times of the year, full of mystery, costumes, and stories that make your imagination come alive. And what better way to learn English than through stories that make your heart race just a little? So tonight, I'll share 4 spooky stories, each one with new words, expressions, and lessons to help you learn English in a fun and unforgettable way. Turn down the lights, put on your headphones, and let's begin. Story 1. The Whisper in the Library. It happened during my college years. One evening, I stayed late at the university library to study. The big clock on the wall ticked slowly, and only the sound of pages turning filled the silence. When I looked around, I noticed something strange. Everyone had already left. It was just me and the books. Suddenly, I heard it. A whisper. Soft close. Almost like someone breathing next to my ear. It said, "Daniel." I froze. The hair on my neck stood up. I turned slowly. No one was there. Trying to stay calm, I went back to my table, pretending nothing had happened. But then, a book fell off the shelf behind me. It wasn't just any book. It was a dark red one with no title. When I opened it, a small piece of paper fell out. It said, "Some stories never sleep." My hands were shaking. I closed the book, put it back, and left the library without looking back. The next day I told the librarian what had happened. She looked at me quietly and said, "That book hasn't been on the shelf for years." I never studied there alone again. Story 2. The Shadow by the Window. This story takes me back to when I was 10 years old. Our house was small but cozy, surrounded by tall trees that made strange shapes on the walls at night. One evening, I woke up around midnight. The moonlight was coming through my window, and that's when I saw it. A shadow. Long, tall, slowly moving across my room. It stopped right in front of my window and seemed to turn its head toward me. I hid under the blanket, trying not to breathe. When I finally looked again, it was gone. The next morning, I told my mom. She smiled and said, "It was probably just the wind." But that night, there was no wind, and the shadow returned. It came back several nights, always the same shape, the same movement, until one night, I gathered my courage, walked to the window, and looked outside. There was nothing there. No tree, no person, no light source at all. Years later, when new neighbors moved in, I visited the old house again. The new owner looked pale when I asked about the window. He said, "Oh, you saw it too." Story 3. The Forgotten House. Last Halloween, my friends and I decided to explore an old house on the edge of town. Everyone said it was haunted, but of course we didn't believe in ghosts. We just wanted an adventure. When we arrived, the house looked like something out of a movie. Broken windows, ivy crawling up the walls, and a door that creaked like it was sighing. Inside, everything was covered in dust. There were old paintings on the walls, but each one had a face scratched out. We found a staircase leading to the basement. My friend Sam said, "Let's check it out." Bad idea. As we went down, the air got colder, like stepping into a refrigerator. In the corner, we saw a rocking chair, moving slowly back and forth. No one was sitting there. Then we heard it. Faint music, like an old music box playing somewhere. We followed the sound until we reached a small wooden box on a table. When I opened it, the music stopped. Inside, there was only a photograph. It showed 3 children standing in front of that same house, smiling. Behind them was a 4th shadow that didn't belong. We ran out, laughing nervously. But when I looked at the photo again later, I noticed something else. The shadow was standing right where I had been in the picture. Story 4. The Mirror at Midnight. This story is about my cousin Anna, who loved Halloween challenges. One year, she convinced me to play a game called The Mirror at Midnight. The rule was simple. At exactly midnight, stand in front of a mirror, light one candle, and say your full name 3 times. They said you would see your future self. Of course, we thought it was just a silly legend. So, at midnight, we stood in front of the mirror in her room. The candle flickered. I said my name once, twice, 3 times. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the flame went out for just a second, and in that second, I saw a reflection behind us that didn't move like ours. It smiled. Slowly. But neither of us did. The next day, the mirror had a small crack down the middle, like it had been touched from the inside. We never spoke about it again. Vocabulary we learned today. Let's review some new words and expressions from our Halloween stories. Whisper, to speak very softly. Flicker, when a light goes on and off quickly. Shadow, a dark shape made when light is blocked. Abandoned, left empty for a long time. Creak, the high sound old wood makes when it moves. Basement, the lowest floor of a house, often underground. Goosebumps, tiny bumps on your skin when you're scared or cold. Legend, an old story passed from generation to generation. Reflection, the image you see in a mirror or glass. Chills, that shiver feeling when you're scared or excited. These are perfect words to describe Halloween, mystery, and suspense in English. Thank you for joining me on this Halloween adventure with English experts. I hope these spooky stories helped you learn English naturally and maybe gave you a little chill too. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a like, and share it with your friends. It really helps us grow and keeps us motivated to create more English learning podcasts for you. Thanks for all your amazing support. It truly inspires us to continue this journey together. Until next time, keep practicing, stay curious, and have a spooky Halloween night.